Hey, what is up, guys? It has been a hot minute since I've done a solo review on the MovieFellas channel. I know last week me and Matt did our dual review of Spider-Man Homecoming. I hope you guys really did enjoy that. That was really cool to do. Again, I'm really sorry for the audio on that. I came through so loud, probably because I personally recorded my monitor for that, so hopefully in the future that won't be such a freaking mess. But alright, I just got back from seeing War for Planet of the Apes. It is a fantastic movie follow-up to 2014's Dawn of Planet of the Apes and end of the trilogy for the 2011 movie Rise of the Planet of the Apes. All right, let's get into the plot real quick. This movie takes place 5 years after Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which makes it 15 years after Rise. They give you like a little rundown of everything that's happened at the start of the movie. Like up until that point, it's actually really kind of cool how they do it. They make reference to Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and then they do another little thing, and they give Dawn, and then they do one more thing at the end, and it's War. Um, this movie's title is kind of misleading because it's not really much of a war movie at all. I also noticed I'm wearing my Demon Hunter shirt, which I did. I think I wore in my first review. I promise this isn't the only shirt I own. Hopefully, it's not like my like recording shirt because it's just gonna make it seem like I only own one shirt. I promise I don't. All right, but let's get into the plot of this movie. This movie, again, like I said, takes place 5 years after the event of Dawn of Planet of the Apes, and Caesar is still at war with the humans. After the follow-up of the end of Dawn, again, hopefully this is kind of straightforward, but if you haven't seen the first two movies, I'm going to be getting really spoiler heavy about those. I'm trying not going to give too much away about War, but I'm going to have to go into spoilers for the first two movies to get the plot of this movie out. Okay, so Caesar is at war with a faction known as Alpha Omega, led by the Colonel, who is played by Woody Harrelson. And Woody Harrelson's just so freaking good in this movie. I personally love Woody Harrelson as an actor. He is so great in everything he does. But he's leader of the faction that attacks his little, I guess, camp at the from what's left in the woods at the end of both first two movies, where they just live. And apparently they've been moving around a lot, and the Alpha Omega company has been looking for wherever his secret base is, because I guess it's that well hidden. But they find it, and they like attack it, and we learn that everything is more complicated than it seems, because the oh gosh, how do I word this? The apes that were siding with Koba, the ones that were trying to frame the humans for being the death of Caesar in the second movie, that attacked the humans at the end of the second movie, um, before Caesar kills Koba, we learn that they are now siding with the humans. They're working with the Colonel because they hate Caesar that much. We see that we see in the pre. That's not really spoiler heavy, because we see in the previews that um, the apes that were working with Koba. Or we see apes working with the humans. They're like, okay, where do these apes come from? They are the result of the the revolt led by Koba against the humans to try to wipe humanity out. And they have joined against Caesar because they're like, you love humans too much, and we need to do what is best for the apes. And learning that Alpha Omega is led by the Colonel, Caesar makes plans to relocate the apes to a desert. South, I assume they're going across the mountains to Mexico, or somewhere that they will not be found, because the Colonel's obviously kind of has like a bone to pick, which I'm not going to give away why he has a bone to pick, but he's moving them to the desert because he doesn't want the apes to be wiped out, because obviously at this point there's not really many humans left in the world, and this really is kind of a survival of the fittest kind of situation. There's a conversation that the Colonel has with Caesar at one point, and he's like, we messed with science. We tried too hard to, I guess, kind of metaphorically, flew too close to the sun, and the simian flu that we see like spreading throughout the map in the end of the first movie's credits, that wipes out so much of humanity. And again, it's not really much of a plot point as it is in the second movie, but it really comes back hard in the third. It's just really more of, in the second movie, this is what it left humanity like. So it's more of it plays a like more vital role in the third movie, and we understand that there are still remnants of this virus left over that is continuing to ravage humanity, and we see that the Colonel is really just done with the apes, and we learn that he is planning to travel to the northern border of California to meet with some troops coming down from the north to have no reservation of wiping the apes out, because it is going to be the last race standing, or last species standing, pardon me for that, at the end of this movie. And I think there's like a part in the previews where Woody Harrelson's like, it's either us or you now. There's no turning back from where we are. And Caesar decides to hunt down the Colonel after, because he wants to take revenge for the Colonel attacking their home, because he just has so much care for the apes that he's just like, I need to stop this, because as long as he lives, the apes cannot survive, because the Colonel just has this grudge, and we learn his motives later. And this is really, it's more of a revolution style movie than it is a full out war movie. The previews make it look like it's just all action. There's actually not that much at all. It's more of, like I said, it's more of a revolution, and Caesar kind of being a Moses-esque character of, I want to do what is best for my people, so I'm going to move my people and take them to a land where we will be safe, and where he feels like they belong at that point going forward. So it's kind of interesting to see his character throughout the series. He kind of does have that whole like Moses-esque kind of character to him, and we see his development. He feels himself becoming more like Koba to a degree, because he sees the hatred that that Koba felt for the humans in the second movie, and he's even called out by Maurice, the orangutan, I think is what he is, the guy with like the brown face, yeah, you know what I'm saying. If you've seen the movies, you know what's going on. But he's even told by Maurice that you are becoming Koba. Your want for revenge is consuming you, and that is ruining who you are. You're not the Caesar that I joined in the first movie. And Caesar even like acknowledges that later. He's like, my hatred for the humans, and especially for the Colonel, is consuming me, and unfortunately until he takes care of that, he feels like he cannot be Caesar again, which is really unfortunate. But I'm not gonna I feel like it's gonna be so easy to slip up and give spoilers for this movie, so I feel like that really covers like all the main plot points. I'm not going to go really too much into the cast, because there's not really that big of a cast, because it's more or less, I feel like there was mocap in this movie. Forgive me for not doing like my intensive research about this, but there's another ape introduced that can talk, and everyone else there's a couple other apes that just kind of learn to talk throughout being around Caesar, and we kind of have their conversations closer to the end of the movie, when they're actually like, okay, I can talk now. And I was right, Maurice is orangutan, yes. But I'm going to focus on Andy Serkis and his portrayal of Caesar, which we have had for the past couple movies, which is phenomenal. I don't know what it is about Andy Serkis. I mean, he's just been such an amazing, like, digital character actor, which is something that's hard to do, because you're not really portraying yourself at all, like he was in Age of Ultron, playing the Claw. He's really more of another, like, it's almost like stepping into another set of skin, as odd as it sounds to say. But his role and his like the way he delivers Caesar's lines, I imagine it's like emphasized this way that everything that Caesar says in this movie is so just heavy, and he's just like, I want to do what is best for for the apes. So we hear him say over and over again, for the better of the apes. Apes are stronger together. That it becomes their slogan like throughout all three movies. He like does the bundle of sticks in the first movie. It's like, yeah, this first one can break, but I'm gonna break it a couple times, and then us together we can't break. And they do like this thing becomes like their sign at one point, and it's kind of cool. But let's talk about Woody Harrelson real quick. He is a madman, and they really portray him as that. They actually talk about him being insane, and yes, he is, but no, he isn't. He is a man driven by revenge, um, because he feels like he is humanity's last hope. His methods are unorthodox, and that really kind of makes humanity mad at him, because the soldiers he's meeting up with aren't necessarily big fans of him because what he has done, um, but they're really willing to commit to doing what needs to be done. He has a conversation, I think that same one with Caesar, where he's like, the humans that are coming may not like me, but they hate apes even more because what apes have done to this world. There's that conversation in the second movie where it's like, the apes didn't do this virus. It was the scientists that created this. It's not it's not our fault. But yet Woody Harrelson's character does blame it on the apes, and he's like, this is all your guys' fault. And for that, it does become a war, and it's really more of a war of will between Caesar and the Colonel. It's not really a war of we are going to fight and we are going to kill each other. Sure, there's some scenes in that throughout, but this is really more of Caesar fighting back and being rebellious and doing the opposite of what the Colonel wants, because they're both counterintuitive of each other. They want one wants one thing, the other wants the other. That sounds so wrong. One wants one faction to come out on top, obviously, and Caesar just wants what's best for the apes. Colonel is just so intent on that wiping out the apes is what is needed for humanity, and it will be their finest hour. And then we've got Caesar, like I just said, is just so on board for the apes and doing what is best for them. So the plot, the characters, it is such, I know we say this a lot, it's a heavy movie. It's not heavy in the sense of you're gonna just kind of hate yourself afterwards. It's not one of those movies that we always joke about being Norse's kind of favorite movie. It's really not that. It's more of, it is just such a heavy fight for one's wants and desires for their species, and we see these two clash so often in their mannerisms, the way they interact with each other, because they do talk a lot. There's actually probably most of the movie, at least a good chunk of it, is the Colonel and Caesar kind of clashing, and just their wills are just so strong against one another. But yeah, it's so cool. It is such a good movie. My final score, I think, is going to be a 7. I feel like it's a good score. Oh gosh, the soundtrack is great. It's not really anything that's like forefront. There are a couple. It's used really well. There's no like, this is it being overdone. They use it in the right points and to the right effect that makes you feel more in the moment, which is something soundtracks I feel like don't do very often. Sometimes in regular movies, they're just there to just be like, oh, I guess, kind of, not to brag on it too much, but Spider-Man Homecoming just came out. That soundtrack is there to be hyper active about everything going on. They want you to feel in the moment, and that's what they do. But this movie is more of, we're putting this in the background to make you feel more in the moment, because it does match so much. It fits the scenes very well. It's about a 2-hour movie, 2 hour and 20 minutes movie. I know I complain a lot about movies feeling too long. This movie did not have that. Sure, there may have been like a 10 or so minute point where I was like, man, I'm super tired, so that was causing me to kind of get a bit just kind of over it. Not in a negative manner. It was more of just, man, I'm so freaking tired. I want to go home and sleep. But I decided I'd come home and do this review just so it was all fresh in my mind. Um, Budget was 150 million. I expect it to at least meet that. I know these movies have all been like super well received, so I'd expect it to do well. 20th Century Fox is the publisher, and or no, distribution. Sorry about that. The production company is Churnin Entertainment, which is that like CE logo where they're like connected and the light refracts and does the C and the E. Gosh, I'm just gonna keep rambling if I don't end this soon. So I'm gonna call this good. I feel like I don't know. I really enjoy doing these reviews. If you have seen the movie and you want to comment, let me know what you think of it. That would be awesome. I will be on my personal account and I will check back occasionally and I will reply myself personally, not on the MovieFellas account. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this review. I hope I did a good job. I don't feel like I spoiled anything, but I also feel like I did the movie justice at the same time because it is a great movie. It's definitely something that I feel like if you enjoyed the first two movies, actually wasn't. The second movie was kind of weird to me. I don't know why. It's not necessarily that I rushed through it, but I just kind of felt disconnected from it in a way. But this movie kind of brings it all full circle and ends the trilogy in a really, really great manner. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Again, like 7 out of 10, not a bad score. It's above average, so I mean that's great. But yeah, thanks for watching this review. I do appreciate it. I will see you all later. I've got one review that I really, really want to do, and for a movie that's been out for a while now, and it's actually already out on DVD and everything like that, and has been for a while. But if you can guess what it is, then you'll know when it happens, and if not, you should have seen it coming from a mile away. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I will see you all later. Thanks for watching this review. Peace out. See you guys.